Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Come on, it's nearly Christmas. I think you can do better than that. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Oh, that's much better. Thank you. So welcome to Imperial. It's great to see so many of you here, and welcome to this year's Children's Christmas Demonstration Lecture. So I do have to do a little bit of housekeeping before we start. So we have checked. We're not expecting any fire alarms this evening. So if one does go off, it's real. So I'll show you where if I do my best air stewardess impression, I'll show you where the exits are. There's two at the back, and there's one at the side. So just make your way calmly to the nearest exit. So my name's Amanda Cerny. I'm Head of Student Recruitment and Marketing at the college, which basically means that it's my job to get great students like you who are interested in science, technology, engineering and medicine, which is our specialism here, to come and study at Imperial. Now, I can see lots of you are very young, but when the time comes, please consider applying to Imperial. So tonight is all about maths, because maths is so important to many of the subjects that we teach. And I know you don't always associate maths with fun, but we're going to prove you wrong tonight. Maths is definitely fun. But I just want to, for the speaker, I'd like to gauge if you're going to be a tricky audience tonight. So could I have a show of hands, please, if you love maths or you like maths? Oh, amazing. Okay. Can I get a show of hands then if you don't like maths or don't really like maths? Oh, my children. Okay, so what we're going to try and do this evening is to get everybody loving maths a bit more. So I'll introduce you to our presenter this evening. It's Professor Kevin Buzzard, who is... He's Professor of Pure Mathematics at the college, and he's worked and studied in some amazing institutions all over the world, so there's not much he doesn't know about maths. And as you can see, he's also the best-dressed professor at the university. So please welcome Professor Kevin Buzzard.
Hello! Thanks for coming. And I'm going to talk about, well, what's this talk about? It's going to be about secret codes, basically. But it's not going to be a big list of examples of secret codes. I asked one of my kids, and they showed me about 8 Wikipedia pages of secret codes. So, in fact, if you want to see lots of examples of secret codes, you can just look on Wikipedia. There you go. So here's lots. Look, there you go. Thank you very much to my son. Is anybody doing the National Cipher Challenge? That might be an A-level thing. One of my children can't be here tonight because he's got to stay at home to crack a code, ironically. This is genuinely true. And he's got 24 hours to do it. And so he has to stay at home. And so he's been boning up on codes. So those are examples of codes. And in fact, I am going to talk about one of those codes. I'm going to talk about a couple of examples of codes. But I'm going to talk about the theory I'm going to talk about theory, because that's what pure mathematicians do. But hopefully it's not going to be, I don't know. Let's find out. This is what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about what can you actually expect a secret code to do? What can you really do? Can a secret code really ever be completely secret? There's a question. Or will there always be some clever person out there that can crack your secret code to have a secret? So this is what we're going to talk about. Is it possible to actually make a secret code nowadays? So let's find out. Let's go. So secret codes go back a long way. Here's the history slide. Turns out they go back at least 3,000 years. But I'm not going to start with 3,000 years. I'm going to start with 2,000 years. And 2,000 years ago, Julius Caesar was using secret codes, it turned out. And we know this because Caesar had some biography written by him, and his biographer carefully explained Julius Caesar's secret code. And so if you've read Julius Caesar's biography, you'll know his secret code, which was a really rubbish secret code. So we're going to start off with Julius Caesar's secret code. So there it is. There's something that Julius Caesar could have said, but he's put it into Julius Caesar's secret code, And then the question is, what does it say? So you might need a copy of the alphabet, and you might need a hint, and that was like Julius Caesar made it so to encode his message was easy, and to decode his message was a bit more tricky. So there's a hint, and now I'm just going to let you all think about that for a minute and let's just see how difficult cracking secret codes is. If anyone can figure out a word, that's fine. But don't put your hand up because I won't spot you. There's lights, I can't see anyone. It'd be funny if I got it wrong and it was impossible. I haven't got it wrong. I checked it really carefully. Oh, there's a hand. Fetch more grapes. Very good. That's just the kind of thing that Julius Caesar would have said. So Julius Caesar had this great idea. According to his biographer, this is official, he decided that he could move each letter in his message, he could move it forward 3. So A became D, and B became E, and C became F. And when you do that to Caesar's secret message, it becomes this thing here. And of course, there's an issue at the end, right? I guess W would become Z, and then X would become A, and then Y would become B, and then Z would become C. So there you go. Fetch more grapes. This is probably the sort of thing that Julius Caesar would have said. Except he probably would have said it in Latin. And in fact, I'm surprised that you didn't pick me up on this, Patrick, because there was no W in Latin, right? Oh, you were thinking about that. There you go. So classical Latin didn't have a W. So actually, Julius Caesar's secret code really was this. So which letters are missing? Who can spot the missing letters? W's missing? Yeah, go on. What else is missing? Yeah. J is missing. What else is missing? Hello? U is missing. So what actually happened was like U and V were the same. I've got a classics expert. U and V were like the same, right? And I and J were the same. And it was only historically later on that people decided to separate the vowel from the consonant. So there you go. That was Caesar's classical Latin alphabet, and he could get people to bring him grapes. And I mean, he would send messages to the military. So why was Caesar's secret code? Why did it work so terrifically well? Why do you think? Yeah, why did it work so terrifically well?
Because so many people were illiterate.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, actually, most people couldn't read in those days. So he could have just actually not used the secret code at all. But apparently, people just looked at it. Even those that knew a bit of Latin just assumed it was in another language. So it's a cunning trick, you see. So there you go. That's Caesar's secret code, and that's a kind of a problematic thing because it was supposed to be a secret code, but I gave a room full of school kids about 3 minutes, and one of them cracked it. So encoding a message is a bit like locking it in a box. And so we're going to be thinking about that analogy. Instead of encoding messages, we're going to be putting things in boxes, because putting things in boxes is kind of easy to understand. So there you go, that's an analogy, and we're going to use the analogy of locking a message in a box to help us understand theoretical limits of secret codes. That's what we're really going to be doing. We're going to be thinking about locking things in boxes, and then we're going to work out what that tells us about secret codes. So there you go, I'm going to send you a coded message with this rubbish Caesar cipher, but to me it feels a bit like this. The idea is I buy a big lockable box, that's me thinking of the secret code, and I buy 2 keys, and I give you one of the keys. That's me telling you how the secret code works. Then if I want to send you a message, I write the message, and I put it in the box, and I lock the box, and I send you the box. So you see, when you think about doing messages in boxes, I don't need to put it in code. I just need to put it in the box instead. So I write the message, I put the message in the box, I lock the box, and I send you the box. And of course, that's the coded message. And then you get the box, and you open the box with your key, and you read the message. So there you go. So the encrypted message is like the locked box, and the key is the secret. The key is the code part. So the key for Caesar's cipher is to encrypt a message, you add 3, and to decrypt the message, you take away 3. Right, so a big problem with sending secret messages is you have to send them, and you have to deliver them, and it's not clear if you can trust the person that's delivering the message, right? So what if the person delivering your message is some kind of enemy spy? Then you have to kind of make sure that the enemy spy can't get in the box. And this is the big problem with Caesar's secret code, is if the enemy spy has the intelligence of a fairly smart teenager, then they can figure out that secret code. So the enemy spy delivering the box can just fiddle with the box and can unlock the box. So there you go. The person delivering the message can just spend some time fiddling around with the box, and they can open the box. Even though they didn't have a key, they can kind of work out the key. They can work out how this secret code works. And so even without a key, you can just fiddle around and open that box. So the delivery person can basically make their own key. And so we need a better system. So we need a better box, and we need a better key. Right, so how about this for a better system? I'm going to buy an extremely expensive box with an extremely expensive lock on, and the keys are going to be really complicated. So I'll get an extremely expensive box and a very nice lock, 2 keys, and the keys are very complicated, and the lock's going to be strong, because, there are better codes than Caesar's secret code. So I'm going to give you one of the keys, and then when I want to send you a message, I do just the same thing. I write the message, I stick it in the box, I lock the box, I send you the box. And then you get the box, and you open the box with your key, and then you can get the message. So that's the plan. And it sounds like a much better plan. In fact, it sounds like the perfect plan, but the question is, it's all very well making it work with boxes, but can we actually make it work with secret codes? Okay, so can we actually make a better key using secret code? The problem with Caesar's code was that every single letter, he just added 3. Right, anyone know what that is? Oh, everyone knows what that is. Lots of people know. What's that? Pi. Is it all of it? No. You can tell it's not all of it because it goes off the end. There's more, it probably goes on to the, I don't know. How long does it go on for? Forever. It's infinite. Can you prove that? What do you think?
Well, you can't prove it, but once you don't know what happens, you just put 1 recurring.
Oh, you could just get. Oh, you just guess. Oh, you just make it up.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Is that what pi actually does? Pi have loads of 1 recurrings at the end of it?
Yeah, I think so.
Is there a real? Yeah. Does pi actually go on forever? That is an interesting question. What does it even mean to go on forever? Like, there's not enough room in the universe to go. What do you think?
Gone forever is just someone spent so long figuring it out.
Yeah.
It goes on so long that they just give up and so this goes on.
Oh, do you think it might not go on forever, but it might? No one's ever got to the end of it.
Or if it's like you divide something and you get 3, 4, 1, 2, and then your next one goes back to 3, and then 4, 1, 2.
Yeah.
So that goes on forever because it will keep looping around.
Yeah. Do you think pi loops around, or do you think it's random? These are really hard questions, by the way. I've been sidetracked, but I'm interested in things like this. Yeah, go on.
It does probably loop around eventually.
Oh, do you think? Yeah. You think it loops around eventually?
There's only so many combinations that you can have.
We can only have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0. So does that mean it must loop round eventually? Or can it keep being random?
There's loads of possibilities.
There's loads of possibilities.
Infinitely, then it would eventually have to loop around.
I've been teaching the first year undergraduates at Imperial College London And it's quite interesting to hear their very vague ideas about what infinity is. And this person here actually has somehow more coherent ideas than some of the undergraduates I've been teaching. Infinity is a very tricky subject, and it's indicated here by this number going off the side of the page. So there's pi, and it's a number that it does, in fact, go on forever. And do you know what? It does never repeat, although that's quite tricky to prove. It never repeats. And mathematicians, in fact, we don't know this, but we think that the digits are random, which is a funny use of the word random because they're completely not random. They're absolutely well-defined. But we kind of think that if you looked at the first trillion digits of pi, then about a tenth of them would be 1, and about a tenth of them would be 2. This is a big open problem about pi that despite being raised several hundred years ago, no one's managed to solve. So the digits of pi are random, so that's kind of quite useful, right? So here's a better code than Caesar's code. Instead of just adding 3 to everything, why don't we add the digits of pi to everything? So like the first letter, we could kind of make it go forward 3, and then the second letter, we could make it just go forward 1, because that's the next digit in pi. And then the next letter, we could make it go forward 4, and then the next one 1, and then the next one 5. And that would be rather harder to decrypt, because we've kind of got this random number going on. So there's the idea. We could go through the digits of pi. And in fact, maybe, I should say, yeah, if you have a z, what do we do with a z? You've got a z and you want to go on 1. Where do we go? Oh, I've talked to you already. I should talk to someone. And I've talked to you. I'll talk to you. You go back to A. That's a really good idea. Yeah, you can't just like give up. If you left it as Z again, then it wouldn't work because if somebody saw the Z, they wouldn't know if it was a Y or a Z. Yeah. If you go with a Z, you go. And what about when you're decoding? If you've got a B and you need to go back 2, you go B to A and then to Z. Yeah. Exactly. And if you're not really happy about pi only kind of being 1, 2, 3, 4, if you really want to make sure that you totally randomizing things up, we could just use pairs of digits of pi. We could go forward 31, and then 41, and then 59, and then 26. We could take the pairs of digits of pi and make sure we were completely randoming things. And in fact, pi is a bit of a dodgy number because pi is a bit faint. Hello?
I just realised the problem.
Oh, yeah.
3.14159. When you get to 65,
Yeah?
well then the numbers would be the letters for which correlate to 6, and the
Oh, yeah,
letters
26.
that correlate to 5 would actually become the same letter.
Yeah, maybe. But that's okay. We can still unravel them because then we take away 5 from one and take away 6 from the other, and they become different letters again. That just makes it harder to read, right? Yeah, you could encode something and it might end up just being www. And then like when you decode it, it's all different letters again. It's not a problem, it's just makes it harder. So I don't really want to use pi because pi is a famous number. I showed you pi and like everyone was like, yeah, that's pi. You could use like, I don't know, the square root of pi. That's not that famous. Or I don't know. So you could use some other random numbers. Pi squared. Pi squared add 33 1/3. So here's a modified plan for sending secret codes. We'll come up with a secret number that goes on forever. And then I'll send you the number. That's the key. And then if I want to send a message, I'm going to do this cunning thing. I'm going to take the first letter and make it go on 3, and then the second letter I'll make it go forward 1, and then the third letter I'll make it go forward 4. And you'll get something that's completely jumbled. And if you don't know the secret number, there's no way you're decoding that. So I send it you, and then you decode it because you know the secret number, and you can pull everything back. So that looks like a really, really good secret code. And especially, in fact, this is actually the best kind of secret code. This is called a one-time pad. And the way this works is that you come up with a number, and then you use the number, and then you throw the number away and come up with another number. So what you really need is a nice big source of numbers that go on forever. And in fact, people didn't use numbers historically. People use books. People use big books. So in fact, Moby Dick was actually used to do this. Call me Ishmael. That's the first sentence in Moby Dick. And if you ignore the bit about the librarians, call me Ishmael. So the idea, how are we going to turn this into a secret code? Call me Ishmael. I guess C is the third letter of the alphabet, A is the first, and L is the 12th. So we could take our message we want to encode, and we could take the first letter and add 3, and then the second letter add 1, third letter add 12, fourth letter add 12. If we could do it like that, it'd be absolutely great. And then, because Moby Dick is quite a big book, and then when we finish that, we could just remember where we finished, and then the next time we send a secret message, we could start where we left off. And we could send a gigantic You know, a gigantic string of messages as long as the entire text of Moby Dick. So there you go. That's the one-time pad. And it's basically an unbreakable code, except there's one problem with this unbreakable code. There's one weakness. And the weakness is, here we go, let's go through it again, right? I come up with a number or a novel that goes on for a long time. And then I send you the number. And the thing is, how am I going to send you the number? You know, we can forget about the rest because there's the problem. So we've got this great plan that I'm going to use pi. So I need to tell you that I'm going to use pi. So I need to send that message. And what about that guy that's delivering the messages? Hello?
I was going to say, my friend from primary school
Yeah.
made the code, and it kind of solved a problem for this, but it was much more rudimentary code. He used the alphabet.
Yeah, yeah.
So the first time you sent a message, you might move each letter 3 along.
Yeah.
And the second time 4, and the third time 5, and the fourth time.
Right. Yeah. So you've got a big pattern. But the problem is, here's the problem with all of these systems, is that at some point your friend had to tell you that that was the system. Right? This is, as you put it, less rudimentary, but it still suffers from the same issue, is that at some point I've got to explain the plan. Okay? And explaining the plan is sending you the number, and of course, if the evil eavesdropper, hello,
But can't you just deliver it yourself? Can't you just write a message, give it to them yourself, and then as soon as they read it, just chuck it in the fire and then they'll know?
you could, yeah, I mean, if you could talk to them, but if you could avoid the delivery person, that would be good. But what if they're stationed in Alaska? Get a plane. Yeah. If you could just fly over and talk to them, then there'd be no point using any secret codes at all, would there? Hello.
What if you send us a code that said, I'm going to be using this code?
Yeah, I see. We could send that as a secret code. Yeah, that's a great idea. The evil eavesdropper would have a copy of the key, but we could send the number using a secret code. But there's some issue. If you think, so now, so what secret code are we going to use to send the number? There's an issue with recursion here. Yeah, the problem with that idea is that we kind of end up then having to say, hello.
Can you not encrypt your own key?
I could encrypt it myself and then send it. But then how would they decrypt it at all? Oh, I could encrypt it using the Caesar cipher. And then I could keep going, but I don't know. So this is right. So the problem is, it's bad planning, really, right? If you and I agree on a secret code first, before you go off to some secret place where I can't get to, if you and I agree on the secret code first, then you can go off on your secret mission and things are easy, right? We agree that we're going to use pi r squared or some other random thing. We agree we're going to use pi squared, add the square root of pi, add something else. And then you go off on your secret mission and it's absolutely fine. You know, we agree we're going to use Moby Dick. But the problem is, what if we were like disorganized and we didn't arrange any secret codes, and then you went off on your secret mission, and then I suddenly realized that I was going to have to send you a vastly important message, but we hadn't got a secret code agreed. And so now I've got this problem because I've got to send you, it's like, I'll send you a message saying, I'm going to send you a secret code, and here's how it's going to work. And then like the problem, you know, the person delivering it is going to be like, oh, this is interesting. Hello.
If you could both speak another language, could you just send it in?
Yeah, the problem, if it was a language that only you two spoke, that would be the same as a secret code.
They were like, if Germans tried to intercept it, and the Russians weren't, then you could just send it in Russian.
Yeah, I think these spy agencies are quite clear. I think they employ people that can speak lots and lots of languages. Hello.
But, like, why don't you just employ a delivery person who's really stupid?
Because they might get blackmailed. They might get blackmailed. Or there might be some hello.
Why can't the delivery person be someone who, like, in the secret code...
Oh yeah, someone we would trust. Yeah, this is the thing. If we could deliver it using it in a trusted way, then this would be fine. I'm going to have to wait. I'm going to have to do some more lecture. Otherwise, we're going to be here till 8 o'clock. There's questions at the end. So there we go. If we didn't agree on our secret code beforehand, then it's not entirely clear. We've had lots of innovative solutions, but basically they all secretly say, why don't we make sure that we can have one communication with that person that's definitely secret, right? If we can do one communication that's secret, then we're fine. But what about if we can't? What about if we just forgot, and now you're stuck somewhere random, and I'm stuck somewhere else random, and I really need to send you a message? Does that actually happen, right? Am I just, like James Bond never has this problem. Does this actually happen when I need to send somebody a message and it turns out that I didn't agree a secret code? So there you go. Does it happen? So I think adults know a very good example of when this kind of thing happens. But it turns out, I mean, I don't know. How does that happen in real life? When do you have to send somebody a secret code, but you've never talked to them before in your life? That does actually happen. Yeah, what do you think?
Well, you don't have to send them a secret code. Like, if you work, if there's someone in like a really far off country,
Yeah.
you've never spoken to,
Yeah.
and it's connected to work,
Yeah.
send them a message.
A message? What, an email?
Yeah.
I send them an email instead of a secret code. But it's the same story, isn't it? An email is just, it goes down a wire, and you can get people, you know, if I send an email using Gmail, have you got an email address? And is it, and it's your name or something silly at what? At your school. So, like, I reckon the people running the computers at your school could read all that email. And it wouldn't surprise me if they were reading all that email, if it's a school email address. But if you use something like Hotmail or Outlook or Gmail, then in theory, the people at Google or Microsoft could be reading it, in theory. It's not just sending messages in boxes, it's any way you like of communicating. Hello? I can't even hear you. Hi, my name's Kevin. I'm giving a lecture. What are you doing?
You know how you have like at google.com?
You do at google.com, yeah, at gmail.com.
Well, couldn't you make your own one?
You can make your own one. Yeah, you can make your own one. That's absolutely true. You can totally make your own one. But then, do you know how it actually works? It's not just kind of magic. You make your own one, and then you send the email, and it goes off, and it leaves your server that you've set up, and then it goes off into the internet. And once it's off in the internet, you haven't got a clue what's happening to it. And it pops around between various nodes on the internet, and eventually it lands at the node which is the other person's email address. And it's that moment when it's going between all the nodes, that's when you have absolutely no idea. And believe you me, people like the NSA, they are carefully watching those nodes. Hello? Quantum encryption. Yeah, that's a bit beyond this talk. This is for 11-year-olds. Hello?
Can't you just put a code on it?
Yeah. But the question is, if the other person doesn't know the code, what are we going to do? That's the big question. This is the problem. So here's a situation where this thing actually happens in real life, where somebody wants to talk to somebody, and it turns out that they need to use a secret code, but they don't have that secret code. In real life, if you get a new phone for Christmas, which maybe some lucky people might do, you switch that phone on, and the first thing that phone says is, why doesn't this button work? Oh, there we go. You get a new phone for Christmas, you switch it on, and that first thing that phone does is it asks you for your Wi-Fi password, because it just wants to connect to the internet, because it wants to check to see if there's any system updates, and it wants to, you're going to have to log into your Apple or your Google account, and it needs to check you've put the right password in. So the first thing your phone asks you nowadays, you buy a new phone, is, can we connect to the internet, please, because it's going to make life a lot easier. And it says, can you type in your Wi-Fi password? And who knows your Wi-Fi password? Your router knows your Wi-Fi password. That's how it works. And your phone's never met your router before. They're just like, because your phone's just out of the box, and your router's something gathering dust in your front room or something. So they've never met each other, and they want to have a little conversation, and that little conversation involves a secret Wi-Fi password. Okay? And Wi-Fi, how does Wi-Fi work? It's just electromagnetic waves. When I was your age, I was completely bewildered by what an electromagnetic wave was. It's an invisible thing that somehow, I don't really understand them now. But all I know is that electromagnetic waves can go through walls, okay? Because I can use my phone in my bedroom and the router is downstairs in the front room. Wi-Fi can go through walls, and that means it can go out your house and into your next door neighbour's flat. Or it can go like out your front room, and I don't know, it can go out your front room and into the car that's parked outside where you live, like with a creepy guy with a laptop. And so all of that information, your Wi-Fi, your phone talks to your router using Wi-Fi, and all of that Wi-Fi just like splurged out. It comes out of your phone and just splurges off. It all like goes up, down, along, and like, you know, if it meets like 10 feet of lead, it stops. But if it just meets a wall, it just kind of goes through and just gets a bit quieter. So it easily makes it out into the street. My son, who's not here, is babysitting next door but one, and he's trying to crack some code. And I said to him, does he have like internet access next door but one? He's like, oh yeah, I can just use our home Wi-Fi because it just about reaches. So okay, fair enough. So it can go through one house and into the next door but one house, apparently. So you can buy devices that listen to Wi-Fi, so the evil person sitting outside where you live can be listening to all your Wi-Fi communications. So that means that in theory they can steal your password, right? There's something kind of funny going on here. Constrained to steal your Wi-Fi password. Because your phone definitely did not arrange a secret code with your router. There's going to be questions at the end, probably lots. So here's our model for a secret code. I'm going to buy a very expensive lockable box, and I'm going to buy 2 keys. And I'm going to give you one of the keys, but this is the issue we've been talking about, right? How do I get that key to you? And then later on, if I want to send you a message, I write the message, and I stick it in the box. And then you get the box, you open the box with your key, and you read the message, okay? And now here's the question. Let's just say every single piece of communication I have with you, every single piece, let's say, I've just got to get on. I'm not sure I can have any more questions. There's questions at the end. If every single piece of communication that you and I make is being monitored, then how do I send you that key? So that's an interesting question. So now let's think more about how these keys work, right? There are 2 keys in this story. There's the key I've got, and there's the key you've got. And when you think about it, we use those keys to do 2 different things, right? I use my key to put the message in the box, and you use your key to take the message out of the box. And, I mean, that's sort of like we're both opening the box, but then we're doing different things. But the keys are performing slightly different roles, okay? They're not exactly the same key. So I've got an encryption key, and you've got a decryption key. For example, in the Caesar cipher, the key I use to encrypt the message is let's add 3 to all the letters. And the key you use to decrypt the message is let's take away 3 from all the letters. You see, it's sort of the same information, but presented in a slightly different way. So are these keys absolutely, definitely the same? That's the question. Is encrypting a message and decrypting a message the same story? So here's a variant. How about instead of me buying all these boxes, you buy the box, and you just buy 1 key. You buy the box, you buy 1 key, but cunningly, your box hasn't just got a lock and a keyhole. Your box has got a little slot on it as well, and the slot is where you can post messages, okay? So you buy the box, and you buy 1 key, you keep that key, and you send me the box, right? And now this is fine, right? You send me, instead of the key going through the dodgy channels, we're going to send the box, like an empty locked box. Okay, I get the box, and I want to send you a message now, so I write the message, and I don't unlock the box, I just stick it through the little slot. Ha, ha, ha. And then we send that lock box back, and you get the lock box, and you can open the box with the key. So this works, right? I didn't need to open that box, I just need to be able to put something in the box. You see, it's a different thing. Encoding the message and decoding the message are slightly different things. And when you think about this box analogy, that looks really appealing. That works, right? I can't take questions. I've got to finish the talk. There's questions at the end. So this sounds like a really good modification. As far as boxes go, this has solved the problem, right? If we're going to use boxes, then this would work really well. So, you know, assuming that you can't break into the box and assuming you can't pick the lock, this is going to work. But unfortunately, this is only an analogy, really. The question is, can we do it in secret codes? And this analogy relies on 2 systems, right? The getting something in the box system, which we solved with the slot, and the getting something out of the box system, right? And it really relied on the fact that those systems were completely different. You see, I didn't need the complicated key. The issue is sending somebody the key. The moment someone starts sending somebody a complicated thing like a key, the enemy intercepts it and copies it, and you're in trouble. So this one, no one ever sent anyone the key, and this worked. But it relied on the fact that I could encode a message quite easily. So here's the secret code version. Let's see if we can work this out. Okay, you think of a secret code, and you think your secret code is adding 3 to all the letters, okay? So you know how to encode a message, and you know how to decode a message, and then you think, right, I'm not going to tell them how to decode messages. That's the secret bit. I'm only going to tell them how to encode messages. So you send me a message telling me how to encode messages, how to turn a normal message into a secret message. You explain how to do that, and then when I want to send you a message, I just do what you explained, and I send you the coded message, and then you've got the secret decoding message, and you can decode the message. So that sounds like a really good plan. Unfortunately, the question is it feasible, right? So it works as far, it solves the eavesdropper problem. The eavesdropper gets to see the method for encoding the message, and so that means the eavesdropper can encode messages, right? But the eavesdropper never gets to hear about decoding messages. Oh, I'm going to talk to you at the end, I promise. So is this our goal of having a truly secret code? No. But this is a problem, right? This is the plan. You're going to tell me how to end. This is how it's going to work. You think, great, we're going to use Caesar cipher. You know, never fails. Okay. So you send a message saying, okay, get your message and add 3 to all the letters. And the person delivering the message kind of thinks, oh, this is interesting. You add 3 to all the letters to encode a message. I wonder how you decode a message. And I kind of think, what's the opposite of adding 3? Maybe it's taking away 3. So encoding, putting a message into code and unraveling the coded message and turning it into a normal message, are they the same thing, right? If you can do something, then you can undo it, right? Is that how it works? If the encoding message is move the letters 3 places down, then the decoding method is just like take 3 letters off. So there you go. If the encoding, even this is problematic. The digits of pi thing is a really good code. If the encoding method is, let's add the digits of pi, the moment you tell me that, I know it's obvious. The decoding message is take away the digits of pi. So encode, if you know how to encode, then you can work out how to decode. Okay. And in fact, it's a mathematical theorem. For any secret code at all, if I know how to encode a message, then I can work out how to decode a message. I'm going to give a proof of this theorem later on, because I know you don't do proofs at school, so I think it's good to see a mathematical proof. So there's a theorem, and I'm going to give a formally rigorous proof. But first, I'm going to do something with a piece of string. So here's a piece of string, and that's my unencoded message. Okay. So now I'm going to encode the message. I'm going to have 30 seconds. Have I got a clock up there? Right. I've got 30 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm tying it in knots. 13, 14, 15. And every time I tie a knot, I'm pulling it really hard. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I don't even need 30 seconds. I keep stopping, so it's probably 30 seconds anyway. 23, 24, 25, 26. There we go. Who fancies decoding this message? Oh, yeah, I knew you would. You've asked 8 questions that I refuse to answer. Right, I took 30 seconds. There. Can you decode my message? I'll give you 30 seconds as well. Does that sound fair? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've actually got a much harder message to decode somewhere. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Tam. 10. What were we up to? 14, I don't know. 15, 38, 24. How are you doing? Yeah. Yeah, I did that on If you'd done it, it would have spoilt it. So I had to make it hard. Look, here's a piece of cotton. I tried this with my son who refused to come. I've got a piece of cotton. You don't need 30 seconds with a piece of cotton. You just tie one knot there. Who fancies untying this? Oh, you're desperate. Yeah, go on, look. Yeah, there you go. Right, well, you can both work on that, but I'm working under the assumption that 30 seconds is going to be too tricky. So there you go. I shouldn't put that in there. It'll make some weird noises. So here's the theorem. For any secret code at all, if I know how to encode every message, which is what you've told me, then actually I know how to decode every message. For example, if to encode it you add 3, then to decode it you take away 3. An abstract formal mathematical proof. Okay? Let's say I know the message for each. And let's say I've encrypted. All I do is I get a dictionary and I write out every single message that there is. And I go through all the messages one by one. For every single one of those messages, I encode it. Okay? So here's a message A, I'll encode that. And this works. There's a message, I don't know, hello mum, let's encode that. So I just take every single message that there is, I go through them one by one, and I encode every single one, and eventually, I will take a message, I will encode it, and I will go, oh look, the encoded message is exactly the same sequence of random Gobbledygook characters that I was supposed to give encoding. So this is a method, right? I decode the message. So if I can encode a message, I can always decode that message, because I can just encode every message. But there is a bit of problem with, what's the problem with encoding every single message? Hello. Yeah. There's infinite messages, but that's all right. They're only countably infinite. You can just do them one by one, you know. So we'll get there in the end, wouldn't we? How long would it take? That's the problem. It would take ages. Just a bit like that bit of string, actually. How's the string going?
Still.
Have you done any?
No.
Oh, man. I thought you would have done one by now. I've got a Swiss Army knife if you want. Maybe I should be giving children's answers. So this is a beautiful, there you go, QED, that's what we pure mathematicians put at the end of the theory. This is a beautiful abstract proof that says if you can encode a message, then you can decode a message. But unfortunately, as is sometimes the case with pure mathematics, it's not a very practical thing. So it's a beautiful abstract pure mathematics theorem that's good. You can go home and tell your parents or carers that you saw an abstract mathematical theorem. And it's true. The proof says that in theory, if you can encode a message, you can decode a message. But in practice, if somebody gives you a knotted up piece of string, it's really quite... did you do the...
I think it is. I can't see it.
You can't see it? Did you do it? Yeah. So, this is the beauty about this thing. Although what we want to do can't be done in theory, if you send me the encryption method, I can work out the decryption method. But the question is, in practice, maybe this method isn't going to be a very good method. So it turns out, so now that's all right, that's all very well and good, but can we actually make it work? Okay? So it turns out that it's not just about string, it turns out that there's a piece of mathematics that's just like a string, that loads of people in this room will know about this piece of mathematics, and it turns out to be really easy to do and really hard to undo. And what is that piece of mathematics? I mean, I'll tell you, because I'll ask around. What do you think it is?
Is it Enigma?
No, it's easy, right? We did Enigma. Time two things together. It's called multiplication. Who's heard of multiplication? Times tables, they still do that? Okay, go. About half of you. Wonderful. Multiplication. So okay, multiplication quiz. Go, it's a quiz. Go on, quiz. Multiplication quiz. Okay, I've got another question for you. Yeah. Ooh. Okay, I'm apparently using this now. So even though that's funny because question 1 looks easier than question 2. Because question 2 looks easier than question 1. Question 2 is a smaller number than question 1, but question 1 you can just do with like long multiplication. In question 2 you have to use some fancy button on your calculator. So here's quiz part 2. What do you reckon? It's the same structure, right? This is timesing, and this is breaking up into prime numbers. Right, hands up when you've done it. If anyone manages to do question 2, they were a real pro. I'll do question 1. Right, are you watching? I'm going to do question 1. There's P. That was the first number. There's Q. That's the. Let me just. I'm not cheating. Look, those are those numbers, right? There you go. Those 2 numbers there, P and Q, and we're going to get my calculator. This is a calculator. We're going to get my computer to do P times Q. Ready? How long is it going to take? Whoa. It took 0 milliseconds, that calculation. So times and numbers together, you can do it quite quickly. So what about this one? Here's the other question. Where's N? There you go. That's the number we have to break up into prime factors. I'll put factor. I've got a factor button on my calculator as well. Factor N. How long is that going to take to factor that number? What do you reckon? An hour. Well, it's not finished yet. We've only got like 8 minutes of lecture left, so 0 milliseconds, but it hasn't finished yet. It's still thinking. What do you reckon? 5 minutes. Optimistic. What do you reckon? Half a minute. Oh, we should wait then. What do you reckon? 3 minutes? What do you reckon? A day. You're closer. What do you reckon? It won't. What do you mean? It won't? I mean, it will finish in the end. Oh no, we haven't got the answer. We can barely see it. We haven't got the answer and I tell you, I'm confident that I haven't shown you the answer because, in fact, nobody in the world knows the answer to this question because it'll take longer than a day. If we use the standard methods, here we go. I multiplied together 2 large numbers in a fraction of a second. But breaking that 232-digit number into prime numbers, it will take, the sun will burn out first. Even if I don't know. That's maybe not true, actually. For that 232-digit number, if we get a lot of computers and wire them all together, we're probably going to be able to do it. Because it turns out there's a whole bunch of numbers on the internet called the RSA challenge numbers. And this is actually the smallest one that hasn't been broken up, that hasn't been factored yet. So what happened 20 years ago, a bunch of nerdy mathematicians, they worked out some prime numbers, times them together, printed out the results, and then they got the computer they'd worked it out on and they destroyed it. Okay, so then they just had the answers, and then the question was, what were the numbers they used? And nobody knows. And they put these up as a challenge on the internet to try and break these numbers up into primes. And the largest RSA challenge number has got 617 digits. And this one, it really is true. Even if we took all the computers in the world and we concentrated them all on factoring this number using the best methods that we have, then it really is true. The sun would burn out first before it finishes. Factoring numbers turns out to be really hard. So that's quite a funny thing. And if you can just look on Wikipedia for RSA challenge numbers. I can even show it you. I won't show it you because we've got to finish. The RSA factory. In fact, this video will end up on YouTube at some point, and there'll be a link to this PDF. Just look up just remember RSA factoring challenge. You'll see some numbers that have got about 200 digits, and loads of mathematicians spend loads and loads of time trying to break them up into factors, and they can't do it. Right, so here's the end of my story. What does RSA stand for? And why does RSA care about breaking numbers up into prime numbers? And here's the answer. RSA stands for 3 mathematicians, Ravesh, Shamir, and Edelman. And what they did was they invented a secret code. And their secret code was called the RSA code. And the way it worked was that to encode a message, you just had to do timesing. But to decode a message, you had to do factoring. To encode the message, you had to answer questions like question 1. And to decode the message, you had to answer questions like question 2. And question 2 is harder to answer than question 1. So here's the RSA code. And this is the last slide. You think of 2 large prime numbers and you keep them secret. Okay? And you times them together. And then you tell me what the answer is when you've times them together. So like 1, 2, 1, 9. Okay? But you don't tell me what the prime numbers are. You just tell me what the answer is when you times them together. And then the evil eavesdropper, when you tell me those numbers, the evil eavesdropper is like, ha, ha, ha. I know what the product of those numbers is. Okay? And if he can break that number up into its factors, he can crack our code. But I can encrypt a message, because to encrypt a message, I just have to do timesing. And to decrypt it, you need to know the factors. And you know the factors, and the evil eavesdropper, he's got enough information to work out the factors, because he's got what they times together to make. But the thing is, that factor button on your calculator, when you start putting in 5, 6-digit numbers, it starts slowing down. And when you put in a 232-digit number, it goes on forever. So you can decrypt my message, but the evil eavesdropper, although in theory they can decrypt it, in practice, the sun's going to burn out first. And once the sun's burned out, it doesn't really matter what the message said. And that's how to keep a secret. Thank you very much.